Hello, Jester Good here, and I want to take a look at some LEGO minifigure pieces which will never come back. No, not prints, and not in the sense of pieces from retired themes, like SpongeBob minifigures, the Fabuland animals, or Power Miners rock monsters, nor animal pieces which got updates, like owls and dogs. More like pieces that could appear in current themes, but have been forever replaced by an improved design. For example, the two old LEGO space helmets that cracked easily, or basically any Star Wars helmet in general. But I really want to touch on the more obscure cases many didn't know about. There's no particular order, and let's get into this. Not many people noticed the Rocketracoon introduced in the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 LEGO sets uses a different headpiece than the one from the first movie. You see, the one in the second movie sets has no molded mouth. The mouth is just printed. Yeah, they made an entirely new piece, retiring the old one just to print the mouth. Hey, I don't blame them, the printed mouth looks a little better. Yet they won't fix Ant-Man's helmet or make a new helmet mold for Wasp. Ugh, gotta stop bringing that situation up. Sure, it's widely known that LEGO alternates between two cowls for Batman. One they tend to use currently in DC superhero sets with no bottom part, and one they use in the LEGO movie and Batman movie sets. But did you know the one they use in the LEGO movie sets has an older version that is a slightly different piece? Strangely enough, the old one was used in the original 2006 to 2008 Batman sets, and then again in the January 2012 DC superhero sets. However, with the release of a polybag in around May 2012, they started producing the current version of the mask we all know and love. The version was much slimmer, and the ears up top were a bit shorter. This change was included in later production runs of the January 2012 sets, as some people who purchased these same sets in the summer were able to get the new slimmer cowl. I'm not entirely sure why they decided on the change after the initial release of the LEGO Batman DC Superheroes wave, but I do think that current cowl is better in its slimmer design. Diaby from the Harry Potter line has had 3 different headpieces. Most of you are familiar with the current one that they just released with the LEGO Harry Potter and Fantastic Beasts minifigure series, and its headpiece has replaced that one from 2011. People assume this 2011 one is the same as the 2002 headpiece, but no, these two are different. The shaping on the ears is the most notable difference, and the 2002 version has oddly indented pupils. Yeah, I don't know why they like doing that so much. I still think this 2018 one is the best yet. LEGO doesn't need to mold mouths anymore, and the printed one is just fine. Hopefully they'll remake the Gringotts goblins though. Those old ones are just downright creepy. I was so glad to see a new Hagrid design in the LEGO Harry Potter Great Hall set. You see, this 2018 one has a perfect beard and body piece, both completely new molds, making the 2001 pieces obsolete, which they use up to 2011. The 2001 version uses this decent rubber beard and hair combo with a body that was innovative for the time. For some reason with finger molding, yeah, it's best that this one was vaulted forever. Finger molding is so strange on minifigures. Either way, the new Hagrid cleverly uses short minifigure legs, making the piece more of a torso than just a whole body like the 2001 version. The Pigtails hairpiece was the first LEGO minifigure hairpiece ever, releasing in 1975. This predates the standard male hairpiece by a full 4 years. The pigtail piece coexisted with the standard female hairpiece, but that piece was released 8 years after the pigtails piece. They coexisted together throughout the 80s, being the only pieces used for female minifigures. However, the pigtails piece was retired in regular sets in 1991, while the standard hairpiece lasted 2 decades more. It hasn't appeared in a regular retail set since 2012. It's hard to pinpoint why it was retired and what piece replaced it. I heard some say the pigtail ends were too flimsy or the hairpiece was out of date, but I have my own theory. As I said, the last year for this piece was 1991, and what piece came in 1992? Ah, the ponytail piece. This became the standard female hairpiece in the 90s and was still used heavily for the licensed craze 2000s in the city and town themes. Do keep in mind that the pigtail piece was put into production in 2010 and then again in 2012 for this little promotional vintage minifigure collection. I remember the moment they revealed this one, I knew I had to purchase a set because the pigtail piece was so darn rare. I'm glad I did buy it eventually because it doesn't look like LEGO will ever release the original pigtails hair, since we now have a much more detailed pigtail design released in recent years. On the topic of female hair pieces, nowadays LEGO hair is a lot smoother with finer details than older pieces, and because of this LEGO has to update hair pieces for certain characters. The Millennium Falcon set from 2000 gave us our first Princess Leia minifigure with her iconic bun hair, and then this piece was used until 2010, where it last appeared in a magnet set. Yeah, back then you could actually take apart magnet minifigures. It was the best. However, in 2011, the right decision was made to retire this rougher LEGO interpretation of the bun hair, and LEGO released a smoother design still used to this day, in like the 2 sets it appears in. Seriously, LEGO, release the episode 4 Leia minifigure in more sets. I need one. The youngians out there won't know this, but LEGO minifigures originally didn't use the same pieces they do today. In 1975, LEGO introduced these minifigures which did not have movable arms or legs, or even printed faces. These were released in various sets up until 1978, in which minifigure pieces we all know and love were introduced. However, in 1980 and 1983, the castle-style town square set paid tribute to this classic minifigure by using pieces as the center statue, but after that, the pieces would never be used again. While we're on the topic, I'm also going to mention the retiring of 2 different versions of the iconic minifigure head. From 1975 to the mid-90s, LEGO minifigure heads used to have a solid stud up top. And then from the 90s until pretty recently, many minifigures had blocked open studs. Now, LEGO only uses studs recessed with closure. Info on when they began using and retiring the older designs is a bit faulty since this change is so minor and many miss it. With the LEGO Star Wars The Clone Wars sets originally introduced in 2008, the Obi Wan minifigure had this nice combed hair piece. While you may think it's the same one they use to this day, it isn't. For some reason, LEGO introduced a new combed hair piece, which was first used for Obi Wan in the Episode 3 Anakin's Jedi Starfighter set in January 2012. However, they still used the original hair piece 6 months later with the pre-Vizsla Mandalorian fighter, as they just repackaged the same Obi Wan minifigure from the 2008 Clone Wars sets. Unfortunately, the pre-Vizsla set was the last to use this piece. 6 months later, in January 2013, the Bark Speeder was released, revamping Obi-Wan's Clone Wars minifigure design and using the current comb hair piece. Funny enough, in 2017, the LEGO Batman movie sets introduced the Commissioner Gordon minifigure with another combed hair piece. However, this seems to coexist with the 2012 comb hair piece, which appears more frequently than this Gordon hair. Though a LEGO Harry Potter Bricktober pack will be using the Commissioner Gordon hair once again. There was a curly hair piece introduced with Professor Umbridge in the 2007 LEGO Harry Potter Hogwarts Castle set, and then reused the following year in the Green Grocer set. It's actually a really neat piece, but it only ever appeared in those 2 sets for some reason. However, in 2013, similar designs was released with the LEGO Minifigure Series 9 Hollywood Starlet minifigure. This Starlet hair has appeared in more sets than the original curly hair ever did. The older piece was assumed to be replaced. This was further confirmed when the 2018 LEGO Harry Potter Bricktober pack leaked, with Professor Umbridge now using the Starlet hair. Yeah, this entry is just going to be for all the LEGO Star Wars aliens with obsolete pieces. Yoda was first introduced in 2002, with the head mold being used until 2005. In 2009, they introduced the Clone Wars Yoda head with goofy proportions. LEGO avoided releasing any sets that would have Yoda outside the Clone Wars series, until 2013's Duel on Geonosis, which had an updated head for movie Yoda, making the original one obsolete. And it's for the best. The original Yoda head wasn't as creepy as a Diaby, but it had no printing and a strange material, so the update was very welcome. We can't forget Chewie's body piece, with the initial one used from 2000 all the way through 2013, no eye printing at all, till they finally released a new piece with the 2014 droid gunship. 14 freaking years. There's a separate one that was just released with the solo sets, but I don't think this version will replace the 2014 one, as it seems to have just be used for younger Chewie. There's the Ewoks, which had an old body piece in one 2002 set, then they introduced a new body piece in 2009, retiring the old one. Sebulba had a horrible one-piece body that was used in 1999, made obsolete in the 2011 Pod Racer set with a new body and arm piece for the character. Speaking of pod racing, there was Watto's original 2001 piece retired with the same 2011 set Sebulba was in. Jar Jar and the Gungans in general had a very basic headpiece used in 1999 and 2000, and then in 2011, LEGO introduced a Gungan headpiece which allowed for more printing and detail, retiring the old one. The Gamorrean Guard's body piece was used from 2003 to 2006, and then an impressive updated piece was introduced in 2012's Jabba Palace. Might as well throw in General Grievous, who had a really ugly body piece, which was used from 2005 to 2009, and then in his 2010 Starfighter set, had a total revamped set of pieces. And even though LEGO considers him an animal piece, I know a bunch of you would have commented how I'm missing Jabba the Hutt. Only the body was exclusive to the character in the original 2003 version, which was used up to 2006, and then we get a new 2 assembly body used in 2012 and 2013. Geez, this entry was a gosh darn list on its own. Either way, that's it for the list. Yeah, there's many pieces I missed. Let's do a little lightning round. There's also the old LEGO Mickey and Minnie Mouse figures, a one-piece body replaced by LEGO's decision to release a molded head in the Disney Minifigure series, or the older LEGO Ghost piece, which was replaced by a version with a sad face and an added top part. Be sure to let me know your picks in the comments below. Either way, this video was brought to you by my Patreon supporters, which are Bricks in It, Brother from Another Brick, Collecting Bricks, Eric Sharkey, Jacob Klinkenberg, Jorge Santana, Christopher Storm Watson, Leslie Cortez, Logan Michael, LQ, Mason Gamble, Nathaniel Leatherby, Oliver Marvin, Ponsbold, Rhett Warner, Ryan McDonald, and Lauren Rail. All Patreon supporters get shoutouts at the end of my list videos. Be sure to subscribe to be aware of more videos, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out. Bye.